Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrew. Today I'm just going to be doing a short video about the series that are completed, that I own in their completion, that I need to get finished hopefully by the end of this year. That's my goal. I don't really have any I'm not gonna be mad if I don't get to these, but I own them and I spent my money on them. I'm gonna attempt to somewhat do this in order of most likely to be done to least likely to be done by the end of the year. And I have no idea how I'm gonna choose that, but we'll just talk through them, okay? I have already done an entire video you can see up here talking about series I'm in the middle of. That includes audiobooks, ebooks, all kinds of stuff. Every single series that I have read at least the first book in, I talk about it there. So there you go, you can check that out if you want more full-on thoughts. But this is going to also include some series that I haven't even started yet. So, but I own them. Actually, I think most of these I've started, but we'll just get into it. Let's just start. So the first one actually doesn't really fit the rule here, but that is going to be the Heroes of Olympus series, which I have actually already finished. And there will probably be a reading vlog, either video before this one or the video after this one probably. So I will leave that video for you to see my overall thoughts, but I will just tell you here that I definitely preferred the original Percy Jackson series over this one. For sure, the Percy Jackson series is all-time favorite status for me, and this is definitely not in my top 10. I just don't love Rick Riordan in third person, and I feel I just didn't get as connected to the characters. But feel free to check out my vlog and get all those thoughts there. And this isn't really following the rules because it's only these 3 books, but I did finish the series, so I feel it's worth mentioning. Next up, we have the Winter Night trilogy, or the first book is The Bear and the Nightingale, and then we have The Girl in the Tower, and then we have The Winter of the Witch, all by Katherine Arden. And I have already read the first book in this series, and this definitely has potential for all-time favorite status for me, especially the second 2 books are even better than the first, which I am anticipating because this first book was so good. I have a spoiler-free review. You can check that out. I loved the first book so much, and I really want to continue very soon. And I own the whole trilogy, so I have no excuse. Next up, we have a fairly long series, and that's going to be Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. Now, I do already have a review, spoiler-filled, of the first book, and I have a spoiler-filled review of the second book that's already edited. I just haven't uploaded it yet because I have a plan to also post a spoiler-filled review of the third book, and then I think I'm going to do a spoiler-filled reading vlog of the last 3 books. That's my plan because I finished this third book forever ago, but I didn't want to start the 4th book and have it interrupt my review and thoughts and opinions of the 3rd book. So I'm holding this it's 2 different trilogies, but it's all one big gigantic series. But hopefully in the next few weeks we will get a review for the 3rd book, and then I will do a spoiler-filled vlog for the final 3 books. And the reason I want to do that is because I don't want there to be such a delay between all the book reviews. I want to be able to just start them immediately and hopefully get a spoiler-filled vlog for these last 3 out. And I mean, I wanted to have video for each book, and but it's just, it makes more sense for me as a creator. It's easier for me to just do a spoiler-filled vlog. So, and these are chunky. These last 3 are much bigger than the first 3, so we'll see what happens. But that's my plan as of right now. Next up, we have probably one of the most hyped trilogies on BookTube as far as fantasy BookTube, and that is the Mistborn trilogy, which I, again, have read the first book, and I have a spoiler-filled and spoiler-free review of the first book. And I definitely want to get to this by the end of the year because I want to get into a lot more Sanderson's work because he is just so dominant in the fantasy community, and I really enjoyed the first book. I have also read Warbreaker by him, which I didn't love as much, but this first book definitely put me onto him in a way that Warbreaker didn't. So I'm very intrigued in all of the Cosmere, but I have to read this trilogy first, and I want to read the continuation of Mistborn, Stormlight Archive, Elantris, all of it. I want to read all of it and just get up in it. And it was announced recently that we're getting, I think, a movie of the first book, and hopefully movies for the second and third. We'll see. I guess it depends on how well the first one does. But yes, I own this in its entirety. Want to finish it. Hope by the end of the year. That's the point of the video. You already know that. Next up, we have the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Libba Bray. And I have already finished the first book. I don't actually have a review for it, but maybe I'll reread it and make one. But this apparently was really big when it first came out, as was The Diviners, but the series kind of lost steam, I think. But this series, I feel like I hear people talk about and say oh my gosh, throwback to when this came out, it was amazing. But yeah, so we have, it's got A Great and Terrible Beauty, and then Rebel Angels, and The Sweet and Far Thing. The Diviners is my favorite series of all time. it is my #1 favorite series. So, and that's mostly because of characters and the writing, but also the plot. So, and I did really enjoy this. They gave this 4 stars, but I actually DNF'd book 2. And I feel like I need to come back to it because it's Libba Bray, author of my all-time favorite series. Like, she just deserves that. And, but also, like, this is, like, literally the size of both of the first 2. But from what I know about Libba Bray, that's because she concludes all of her stuff, which I appreciate in an author. She doesn't leave up any loose ends in her series. So, we'll just have to see. I think we're gonna get I'm gonna have a bit of a book 2 slump situation here, but I own the whole thing and I wanted to read it. And the reason I bought it all is because I want to eventually own all of Libba Bray's work and make a video about it. So I have to read the series in order to do that. And yes, it's historical fantasy, which I feel like Libba Bray does really well. It's supposed to be in 1880s. So there's that one. Next up, we have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, or the Mara Dyer trilogy. I have the second 2 as well. The Evolution of Mara Dyer and the Retribution of Mara Dyer. The second one didn't come with a dust jacket, which is very annoying. And the third one, Revolution of Mara Dyer. So, Retribution of Mara Dyer. I actually, as you can see, I'm in the middle of this book. I've been in the middle of this book for months because maybe you would think that means I don't love it, but I am obsessed with it. And I have loved every single second of it I have read. And when I do read it, I read like so many pages at once because it's just so gripping. But it's like one of those books that like I know could be a 5-star for me. So I like put it off, weirdly enough. And this is blurred by Queen Cassandra Clare. Just something about it, it is what I like to read. So I need to read it because I literally purchased the whole trilogy. Even though I've heard the third book is weak, I still feel like the first 2 are gonna like make it worth it. I don't know, but we'll see how I feel by the time we get here. Next up, we have The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which I have these very lovely editions of that also have absolutely stunning covers to go with them. And I think there's 8 books in the series, and I've read the first 2. The first 2 are in this like bind up, so I mean I really haven't read hardly any of the series. But a big reason that I love murder mystery stuff. I have always enjoyed that in TV shows and movies as well, but I have seen the BBC Sherlock adaptation, obsessed, and Benedict Cumberbatch is so good in that. I read the first 2 in the series and I think I gave them both 3 stars, but the short story collections are definitely hitting for me on a much better level. So I think most of the following books in the series are a short story collection. And another big reason I want to read this is because I know Sherlock Holmes as a character was a big inspiration for Agatha Christie. And I remember somebody did a video, I think it was Ashley from Bookish Realm, which is talking about general unpopular opinions on books. And someone said that Agatha Christie was I think she said, he or she said that it was Agatha Christie is a better writer, but Sherlock Holmes is a better character. And I have read 3 books by Agatha Christie, and I'm honestly only reading these because I want to read this and finish Sherlock Holmes before I read Miss Marple and Poirot, which I want to read all those in order, even though I know you don't have to. I just want to because I feel like I know they're all completely disconnected, but it's just, I don't know, something about my brain wants to go in order. And yeah, but I want to finish Sherlock Holmes first before I get into anything. I might still read some Agatha Christie standalones like while I read these, but a big reason I want to read this is because I want to read it because I know it was a big inspiration for her, but also I want to read it because I've always enjoyed Sherlock Holmes as a character in most media I have seen him in, or when I've seen him referenced. Funny story, he's actually referenced in The Dark Artifices, and there's a character in that series who loves Sherlock Holmes, and I was like, you know what, I should just understand like what it was, like what it is about Sherlock Holmes in the actual novels that made him so famous. And it's really not the first 2 novels, let me tell you. I think you should look into it if you're interested. But The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which I've been listening to, I'm almost done with, and they're all narrated by Stephen Fry on Audible. You can get like the whole thing as 1 credit. Highly recommend. Yeah, there we go. And then the final series is only something I own the entirety of because it came in a bind up, and that is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, who I did read the 5th season by and not super love it. But because I loved The Bear and the Nightingale, and I'm still very intrigued by Uprooted and Spinning Silver, and this is blurbed and it says lush and evocative, which is exactly how I would describe The Bear and the Nightingale. And people say that if you love Bear and the Nightingale, you're probably gonna like Naomi Novik or Novak, however you say it. And she's blurbed this. And this is about like the gods being among us. Like I just think like this is gonna be, I know some people say that this is their favorite N.K. Jemisin work, so I'm hoping that's the journey for me. But I do want to read this whole series. Not just, I mean, partially because I own it, but I'm just The fifth season was not my favorite by a long shot, which I think I talk about a little bit in that video I mentioned earlier, the series, what did I call that video? All the series I'm in the middle of or something. I do plan to read this maybe by the end of the year, but not for sure. So there we go. So there are all the series that I plan to finish by the end of this year, hopefully. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of them, if you've read them or not. My Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter, it will all be in the description for you to check out as well. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.